processes and DNS servers work together. So as you can see, the client first sends in a data packet to the DNS server. This data packet will usually be, youtube.com, for example. The DNS server, all right? The DNS server sends back, checks its own web servers if youtube.com is available. Sorry, I think this animation is broken, so I'll just explain it without. What happens is, using your URL, you send in youtube.com, for example. The DNS server looks through its databases, 192.168.2.3, 192.151.2.1. These are different IPs, right? So I'll write down over here, IPs. And over here is going to be your domain name, right? Domain name, which is what you enter, right? So you entered youtube.com, google.com, for example, right? The DNS will take the IP, will take the domain name that you selected, and it will take this IP, it'll take the IP and it'll send it back to you. Then you will use that IP to communicate with the web server itself, right? And that's how it works. So now we can move on to cookies. Cookies, in essence, cookies are just a small data file. They can be a text file, they can be a encrypted file. They are encrypted, but they can be a proprietary file, or they can just be a plain text file. And they're basically just small storage of data. Now, persistent cookies and session cookies are the main types you need to know of. And as it explains here, session cookies are only valid for that session, which means that logon, so they are temporary. Persistent cookies are permanent. Permanent until deleted, right? Until the user chooses to delete them, they are permanent. Now, they can ask you to explain the difference between session and persistent cookies, but a more common question is the types of data that they store. Now, the safest mark scheme based answer are, for session cookies, the safest answers are these two, right? Language settings, users logged in, their account, items in the cart. These are the safest options to use for session cookies. For persistent cookies, you can use slightly more things, right? Save login details, your browser's history, priority searching, right? Like if you look up YouTube often, it'll automatically recommend YouTube based on your preferences, right? Language settings, is your web browser in English? Advertising, so this is usually personal information, right? And it can also be things like card details for websites where you're shopping, right? And they uniquely identify the user. That is another main point in the definition if you're asked for the definition. Okay? So that is cookies, very simply. Now, cryptocurrencies and blockchains is a relatively new part of the syllabus, and it's